Hey folks, welcome back to Gunning Down a Dream. This is Brandon again, coming back with another video. This is going to be the first live stream that I've done. Um, I was just reading some information uh, on my phone or on CNN News, and it caught my attention because there's a bigger picture to what I'm about to discuss. Um, so, when it comes right down to it, what is America coming to? What are some folks in America coming to? And how are we going to turn around from these different issues that problems are stemming from? And for those of you folks that's going to see this, there is a Nerf gun behind me in this video. Over here, this is another Nerf gun. By the way, they've been cleared and checked. Um, anyways, so with that being said, I want to start here with reading a little bit of information that I came across. So what this says is there's a fourth grader that has been suspended from school for having a gun visible during his e-learning or virtual learning that is going on for a lot of students right now. I have children myself, and so with that being said, it said that the fourth grader is suspended for having a BB gun in his bedroom during virtual learning. So I'm going to stop right there real quick. So first of all, this young man, he was at home in his own home. First of all, I want to point that out. Um, Doing e-learning through a virtual connection or through the internet. So with that being said, I'll be darned if a teacher or instructor or another individual that is teaching one of my children or anybody else that I know for them to cause such a problem here. Now, I will take it as far as saying there are some BB guns out there, or there are some different, uh, what do I want to say here, different guns out there, BB guns, airsoft, paintball guns. There are some of those types of things, even some Nerf guns, if customized, just as an example. But there are different things out there that do actually look like legitimate, real firearms. Okay, so in this scenario here, the big problem is that it's one thing. It's even admirable to have a teacher or instructor maybe showing some concern for one of their pupils or students, but at which time this was found out to be a BB gun, that's when they should have dropped it and let it go. So here we go. I'm going to continue reading from this. Um, so, a 9-year-old Louisiana student was suspended after a teacher reported seeing a gun in the boy's bedroom during a virtual online class. The attorney that is representing this young man's family said it was a BB gun and that the school went too far. So I'm going to stop again on that. I completely agree on that. Like I said, I think it was one thing where, perhaps the teacher or whoever was doing this virtual e-learning instruction may have had some concern. That's one thing, okay? But like it was not a legitimate firearm then the little boy should not have been suspended from school. Now, here's my thing. On the premise of this, it wouldn't even matter if it were a real firearm, because this little boy was in his own home and stuff like that. So that, by just the way of being at home, that you are in your own home, and I'm big into firearms. I've got kids. They know about firearms and the consequences of messing with them, and they know that, if ever messed with, there's no coming back from a gunshot wound or anything like that. So, anyways, the school was applying their on-campus weapons policy in this situation without even considering the privacy of that child and or his family. So there's a Louisiana attorney, Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry announced Friday his office is investigating this. He said that he is alarmed by what appears to not only be multiple violations of both state and federal constitutions, which I agree on that wholeheartedly. Again, make reference here to these Nerf guns. For all intents and purposes, it's still a gun, just not a lethal gun. So if one of my kids was doing learning instruction online and a teacher happened to see something in my house that they did not approve of or that they might not approve of, as long as that child is not in harm or anything like that, or excuse me, as long as a child is not in harm, or the teacher or whoever's doing the instruction does not see something going on with that child being abused, neglected. I say that child, I was mentioning my kids. So in my situation, in my home, is not seeing my kids, or speaking for this young man, if that teacher had not seen that young man having something done to him wrong, or him doing something that could directly endanger himself or someone else, then that's kind of my hang up here on this. So let's continue reading. So basically what it's saying is that is blatant government overreach by that school system. That gentleman, what was his name? Jeff Landry made in his statement. So for anyone to conclude that a student's home is now school property because of connectivity through video conferencing is absurd. Now, I agree with that. This young man was not on school property. He was nowhere near his school or anything like that. Now, schools do have weapons policies and different policies that things have to be adhered to. That's fine. But this young man was at home, and in the photograph, it looked like where he goes to school, they may have to wear uniforms. I'm not saying that to offend anybody or anything. Maybe he didn't have to wear a uniform, but the photo that is shown on here shows the young man is dressed very nicely. He looks like a nice young man. So it goes on to say that it is ludicrous for this all-American kid to be punished for doing what he's got to do, being responsible, doing his e-learning like he was supposed to do, and taking responsible actions, just as it is for his parents to be accused of neglect, the Attorney General Landry said. Now we're getting down here to what the teacher or the instructor claimed, how it happened. So this young man's name was, forgive me if I get this incorrect, Ka Marai Harrison. Ka Marai Harrison. And he was a fourth grader at Woodmere Elementary in Jefferson Parish. He was actually taking a test in his bedroom on September 11th after he had not been participating in online school the day before. The family attorney stated and told CNN that on Friday here recently. His attorney, she said that Kai Marie had muted the volume on his computer so he could concentrate, and muted himself since it's a requirement when students are not speaking. So, anyways, he had muted his volume or microphone or whatever you want to call it. The teacher or individual who apparently seen this BB gun, that they thought it was a real gun, they said that one of his siblings who shares a room with him stepped on or tripped on a BB gun that Ka Marai had received as a gift. Ka Marai, the young man that is suspended from school, by the way, they also were trying to expel him permanently. So he picked up the BB gun and was out of sight from his screen or monitor for just a moment. He then placed the BB gun next to him in his chair, according to his attorney, or his family's attorneys, because he's a juvenile. According to school documents, this young man's attorney shared with CNN the teacher called this young man's name, Ka Marie's name. The student was disconnected from the screen due to internet issues. Not surprising. Technology is just a fickle beast. Folks can't live with it, and they can't live without it. So the school apparently tried reaching this young man's parents unsuccessfully. They then called his grandfather, the young man's grandfather, as his grandfather was an emergency contact, telling him that the child had a gun during virtual class, according to school documents. So let me stop right there again. I do thank you for tuning into this video. Sorry, the lighting is low. I've never went live, and everybody in my house is sleeping right now, so I didn't want to turn a bunch of lights on and make a bunch of noise trying to get my camera equipment out and stuff like that. This is Gunning Down a Dream. So far, we've uploaded about 8 or 9 videos, but we do firearm unboxings, go over specifications of firearms, and then shoot them firearms. And then there's going to be other various different things that we're going to do on our channel here. But as always, this does tie into guns and firearms and just this general topic. This is not a BB gun. Okay, so this here, as always, this firearm is unloaded. It does not have a magazine. And the magwell, you can see that. You can't even go right there and see through there's nothing in it. Nothing at all. Okay. So anyways, just as a reference here, we've got a pistol that is real and a Nerf gun. Now, my children know the difference between these, and they vary in ages from as young as 7 all the way up to 16. This is just a demonstration. I'm going to go ahead and put this firearm away safely down here in its pouch or container that I have for it. So anyways, as I was saying, this is just craziness going on in this world where folks are doing anything they can to disrupt learning or make a big deal out of something. So here we go, back to the story. I'm not going to keep you folks much longer. The school actually recommended expulsion, as I had mentioned. Then they amended it to suspension. School documents show that the school recommended this young man, Ka Mori's expulsion. And this is what they classified it as, to expel him from school. Ka Mori's expulsion would be for possession of a starter gun and or stun gun and or facsimile firearm or a fake weapon. So according to the Jefferson Parish Public School policy and their procedures, there was a hearing held on September 22nd, and it was determined that Ka Mori was found guilty of displaying what's he guilty of. So again, his lawyer told CNN she participated in that hearing and said that the hearing officer that was conducting the hearing determined it was a BB gun. The school amended the recommendation for expulsion to the school suspension for 6 days and for the Department of Child Services or social work to be assigned or have an assessment done. This young man, Ka Mori, returned to online school on Thursday, the 24th of September. So that was about 3 or 4 days ago now. And he had been out of school since the day of the incident, according to his lawyer. His lawyer told CNN that Jefferson Parish schools took an on-campus weapons policy and unilaterally determined that they were going to apply it to one of their students in a manner as if he was on campus. Now, that's also something that can't be done, and if this doesn't get overturned and a huge apology put out there to this young man and his parents for them having to go through this, if I were them, then I'd be seeking legal action against the school and the individual that was instructing the online learning. So they stated that they were applying their on-campus weapons policy to the student as if he were on campus, and they didn't consider any measures such as the privacy of his own home or his family's own home. So in a statement to CNN, Jefferson Parish Schools told CNN, "We do not comment on individual students' records regarding discipline. It is our policy that teachers and administrators may employ reasonable disciplinary and corrective measures to maintain order." What are they maintaining? This young man was doing his test with virtual instruction. I mean, this is absurd. His lawyer argued that there is a gap in the way schools enact policies in a virtual learning environment, which should consider the things that take place in a private home. I don't know if y'all can see this. Here's the young man right here. See if we can't get that up there, right there. I mean, just a nice looking young man right there in that uniform, or just really nice clothing. So I guess here we are with the end of the story. Um, if any of you folks out there have any comments or opinions on this topic, um, go down in the comments and let me know what you think. Like I said, the fact and the points are, I mean, and I don't know any more details on this, um, this young man or anything like that. It could have been a number of things, potential racial profiling, because the young man that was accused of that, he shouldn't have been doing that, and he is a young black gentleman, which there's nothing wrong with that. So again, I don't know, um, if that was the case. If the teacher, was white or Caucasian, and they were doing racial profiling. I don't know. And if that wasn't the case, that's great, and I hope it wasn't. But at the bottom of this topic here, people should just get along with one another. Educators, being educators, should be smarter than that. And then, like I said, once a school has their proof right there in their hand, stating that this young man, it was a BB gun. There's nothing illegal for a BB gun. I've got an 8-year-old boy, you know, and 3 daughters, you know. So, with that being said, just let me know what you guys think. I'm sorry, I can't even think right now that is so daggone goofy. You know, like I said, I understand that a teacher has an obligation to fulfill, whether they're doing in-person learning or virtual learning. A lot of teachers have that. I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for. They've got a right, or they have to say something if they think that a child's in. Anyways, um, the moral of this story is things were not looked into in the situation for this young man, and now his family and him are having to deal with some crazy stuff going on here. Um, and that's disrupting his learning the way it is. Having to deal with this, even embarrassing for the family and for this young man to experience something like that, because it wouldn't matter if he was sitting there doing, excuse me, if he was sitting there and his father was into firearms, and there was a whole wall of firearms behind the young man. That doesn't matter. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was doing his schoolwork. And so here we are. Again, this is Brandon up here in Indiana, um, with a very crappy quality video. Um, but I just wanted to get this out there and see if anybody had any thoughts on it. So again, thank you very much for your time. Those of you that have subscribed to our channel, thank you very much. And we'll see you in the next one. Dream on, folks.